With the Dakar Rally underway well and truly and properly, let's have a little bit of a talk about it. We'll talk about Stage 1 and a little bit about the Prologue, but there's not too much for us to talk about when it comes to the Prologue itself. In fact, as is usually the case with the Prologue of the Dakar Rally, the things that stand out are the people who've gotten unstuck already. And you got a feel for the crew of the 229 and the 650 who've both had to withdraw already. The W2RC footage shows Daniel Schroeder's crash and also his frustration, having been out before the rally itself actually started. For the bikes, the Prologue counted towards the overall classification. For the other classes, it did not. Difference between FIA and FIM jurisdictions. In addition to that, people like Johan Kristoffersen also suffered crashes on the Prologue, though luckily for Kristoffersen the roll cage wasn't damaged, so he was able to continue. For the bikes, is it any surprise that Edgar Canet is up at the front? The young Spaniard, 20 years old by the way, was absolutely dominant in last year's edition behind Rally 2 machinery, and now he's stepped up to the full Rally GP machinery. He's up at the front again. Daniel Sanders, who was beaten only once last year in the bike category in the W2RC and is the reigning Dakar champion, is 1 minute behind, having been 3 seconds slower on the Prologue and a minute 2 slower today. Ricky Brybeck rounds out the podium, meaning that it's not a KTM lockout. In fact, it's Honda's 3rd and 4th with Tosh Serena just behind, and then Luciano Benavides rounds out the top 5. Doing the rest of the top 10, you've got the leading heroes of Nacho Conejo and Ross Branch. And then you've got Adrian Van Beveren, the leading Rally 2 rider, and Michael Doherty again, and Skylar Howes. Doherty, I would not be surprised if he performs really well this year when it comes to Rally 2. He's currently leading over Martin Ventura by 2 minutes 14 and Konrad Dabrowski by 4 minutes 15. When it comes to the cars, looking at the Ultimate class, it was a win for Guillaume de Mevieu and Mathieu Baumel. Baumel having returned to action after the injury he picked up last year during the Monte Carlo Classic, or on his way to the Monte Carlo Classic. It's great to have seen him recover. I think he had to have partial amputation on one of his legs. And yeah, he's there and he's picked up a stage win as navigator for Guillaume de Mevieu on the first classified stage for Ultimate. Nasser Al-Attiyah is second place, 40 seconds behind. The podium rounded out by Martin Prokop, the lead Ford. Then it's Marek Gotzow who makes a step up to T1 Plus for this year. It's great to see the all-Polish crew in 4th place. And then you have the lead of the works Ford's Matthias Ekström, who for a while looked like he might have won the day. In fact, he would have been 1 second slower than Martin Prokop had it not been for a 20-second penalty. Carlos Sainz picked up a 10-second penalty, as did Mitch Guthrie, meaning the only works Ford that did not pick up a penalty was Nani Roma, who was in 8th. The rest of the top 10 included Guy Botterill in 6th and Sebastian Loeb running out the top 10. Just ahead of Lucas Moraes, Denis Krotov, and then some more of the Toyotas with Sayed Variawa and João Ferreira. And then 15th, you have Cristina Gutierrez, meaning that you have all 4 in the top 15 of the Works Fords, the Works Dacias, and 3 of the Toyotas. When it comes to the other classes, in the Challenger class, David Zil ends up leading from Paul Spearings by 42 seconds. Spearings picked up a 1 minute 10 penalty, and then Cavaglacio rounds out the top 3. Top 5 is rounded out by Paul Navarro and Abdulaziz Al-Kawari. But if you have a look a little bit further back, yes, Sedan, Kevin Benavides, Daniel Akil, you have a lot of big names who are just outside of that top 5. In the SSV, Javier de Soltrite is leading by 3 minutes 34 over Alexandra Pinto. Brock Hager rounds out the top 3 there. Then you have Chaleco Lopez and Gonzalo Guerrero. Manuel Duhar is down in 9th, 11 minutes off, but anything can happen in the Dakar. We're talking about a stage that for the winner was 3 hours 38 minutes. In the trucks, it went the way of Ale Leprai from Mitchell van der Brink by 1 minute 47. That's despite Leprai picking up a 2 minute 10 penalty. Top 3 being rounded out by Martin Macek. Then just behind them, Vidor Zala and Richard de Groot. When you look at some of the other names, so Gagara's in 9th, the Hoosings are in 7th and 10th, and Martin van den Brink is in 6th. Anyways, folks, that's your update. Let me know any thoughts and feelings you have in the comment section down below, and as always, what I do is I follow these things live. If you look at the Dakar website, you can have a link through to the W2RC where you can see some live timing. You can go through the different waypoints, see what the stage profile looks like, and sometimes even see a top-down map where you can see where the competitors are in this stage. I also watch the W2RC or Dakar highlights, which are on their respective YouTube channels. I think it's the same one on both for this year, but I usually follow the W2RC ones because it carries the other rounds of the W2RC. But thanks for watching, thanks for joining, and until my next update on this, or until my next video on this channel, it's bye-bye for now.